Today, I went through and every single week I was asking you guys, obviously, what you want to learn, what's like most important to you, like working on it right now. Everybody said you guys wanted to learn more about like cultural research in particular, how we kind of figure out what is trending up, what's trending down, what the actual culture wants to, I don't know, consume from the brands. And we are going to pretend this week that we are doing creative strategy for Death Wish Coffee Co. Super interesting brand, really, really strong on like the visual representation of what they're producing. Interesting stuff here for these guys, though, if you don't know who they are. Their coffee is wicked strong. Like they produce some of the strongest coffee that you can get in D2C. I don't know if it's the strongest coffee in the world, but for the most part, they kind of grew on this premise of like, be careful when you drink this because lots of caffeine in it. So we are going to go through and do a cultural research kind of a panel for this particular brand because we do a lot of weird stuff in this particular group. We're going to play a game because I like games. So this game, we're going to pretend that we are detectives because that's technically all research is. We are literally just trying to find the hidden codes that exist outside in the free ecosystem that we are allowed to access as researchers. And what we're trying to decide is which one of these codes, cultural codes that we find gets to belong or which ones do we need to kick out, right? So for every single one of these that we're going to be looking at today, and then obviously I'll give you guys access to this particular artifact if you guys want to just use it for your own research. So today we're going to try and crack this code. We're going to be using coffee because that's the particular brand that we're looking to do research for. You can add your name if you want it to be cool and awesome like Sarah. First thing we're going to go look for is things or places where a lot of people are kind of voting with their clicks, their listens, their engagement, like things that they're actually focused on that have nothing to do with our particular product. The reason I'm starting here, we call this kind of like mood ring, is because I'm trying to get a general sense. What's happening with consumers right now? What are they interested in? What changed over the course of the last couple of years? Those type of things. And this actually came from one specific post where I was breaking down the Billboard Hot 100. So for those of you who don't know what this is, Billboard every single month and every single year basically makes a list of anything that's crazy popular in music. Very similar. IMDb has one for movies as well, which we'll look at in a second. The reason I love to look at this though is it's kind of a resource that will show you over time what things are most important to people when they listen to music. Now, I love to go look at this as a creative strategist because it tells me a lot about where people are mentally on a national or global scale, depending on like where you live and what you're trying to research. A lot of what Billboard is pushing has to do with like production budgets and how Spotify looks at things and like all these different, music artists, if they're big names, if they're up and coming names. So take this with a grain of salt because a lot of this is just going to come from good marketing budget. Overall, if we look at all of these different songs together in a group, you can usually tell what people are kind of craving most. I'm not using this more as like avatar reduction. I'm not trying to get down to like, okay, what does my avatar listen to? I'm looking at it more of like, what is the nation currently feeling? So I'm looking at this as like a global marker of what everybody's kind of listening to together as a group. So overall though, all I'm trying to do is get a sense of like what's happening this year. What are people consuming? What's in the background of our lives that are we constantly hearing that we may not be like actively looking for, but the entire like culture is kind of set in. This, if we go back to here, when I look at codes, so codes, when you're trying to go through and identify all of these, usually just have to do with like, what's the overall kind of sentiment that people are looking for? What I'd probably do, honestly, is I'd go to Claude and ask it, look at the top 10 songs that are trending this month. Tell me what the overall topic, sentiment, and what should we say, cultural movement is. Here's the list that it pulled. Here's interesting. Let's see. Oh, this week was distorted by an event because Drake dropped his new album. So if we strip that out, we've got 2 Olivia Dean, 2 Ella Langley, a few other things that are kind of outliers here. Yeah. Lots of feel-good stuff, though. This is really interesting because I've seen this, the entire year is kind of dominated by this kind of topic. Like a little bit of like defensiveness in here. Yeah, a little bit combative songs coming in. Lots of this, though. Really like sincere. It seems like people are just like broken-hearted slightly, especially in these songs that are coming out in the top. Falling in love. Oh, lots of like self-reflection a little bit. Heartbreak is self-knowledge. Yeah. Disillusioned. Oh, there's so much sadness in all of these songs. Possibly, hypothesis, people might be feeling disillusioned right now. Possibly, I could probably run some ads towards the fact that, like, listen, everybody out here selling the weirdest stuff. You feel disillusioned. I feel disillusioned. Maybe we should figure out a way for us to vet which skincare brand is actually a real thing. Let's go do it. I'm going to try 50 skincare brands this week. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me show you all these things that I'm doing. Let me try them all on my skin. Proof is how you get over whatever emotion is currently strongest. So for this customer, disillusionment is what I see. So we'll put that disillusioned in here. Okay, when you come over to Google Images, I just typed in coffee brand packaging. You go to tools here and you can search any point in history basically for what Google has available for you. Sometimes I'll just look at like the past year just to see what again, globally, culturally, what are the options that people are seeing a lot of? So I'll take a look at all of the sponsored products, obviously. You can take a look at like designs, different things. I kind of just take a look at, in general, what's on the Google Images page that people are clicking on or searching for a lot. But let's look at like a little bit past this. So we look at January, let's look at like 2013. Let's look at way far back to January of 2014. Take a look at what was, ooh. Okay, so you can already see in 2013, 2014, things were much cleaner, just visually. The stuff that people were clicking on with images, the images that were being posted a lot, and just what Google has image-wise, everything was on like a white background, which I found really interesting. Not a whole lot of like flowers, plants, leaves, a lot more just like product shots, which is interesting from 2023 to now. So what this tells me is that our market might be attached a little bit more to the health food market than I initially realized. And we might actually want to move that direction a little bit. Visually, maybe. Landing pages, we could test this with. Ads, we could test into. Very first thing I'd probably want to do, though, is run an ad that has a little bit more of the leaves involved and see if it competes better, just based upon what was running in the last year. So I come over here just to basically tell me, visually, what should I probably be focused on? It's chunky. Like the designs these years, everything that's coming up is just real. There's a lot in it and a lot of like plants and flowers and stuff. So we'll write this down. Let's see, floral or plants. Nature is on here a lot. If we go look at ads, it's even more interesting. So coffee ads we'll look at from the past year. I find this interesting. So much text. I mean, on everything that's in here, crazy amounts of text. Now, obviously, all of this is coming from just all over Google. So some of this might be, you know, a designer's website. It might be like all kinds of random stuff. This was from YouTube, right? But overall, coffee from a Google standpoint just has a crap ton of text on it this year. Let's go look in 2013 again and see. I'm picking a random date, but you can basically pick any date you want just to go see. If you want to look at the past, like, whoops, 2014. Past 2 years, past 3 years, whatever. Ooh. Oh, interesting. Okay, so still a lot of text from 2013, but I'm seeing a lot more people and a lot more coffee cups, not as much coffee bag, which is interesting. Very few coffee bags in here. Lots of old school stuff popping up in 2013. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why there's more coffee bags. So I might write this down as like coffee bag is trending right now and not coffee cup. So that might be something I can capitalize on immediately just by going and putting a coffee cup on an ad instead of a coffee bag. That would be an interesting test. I'm looking up this particular brand category for something that I want to launch because I want to launch a plushie brand, mostly so that I have places to test my own ads. Because I run creative strategy for a few different brands, but like there's always restrictions and things that I have to like work with in those ecosystems. Not a bad thing, but I kind of just want somewhere that I can do whatever I want. So for plushies, if I was going to sell into this particular space, there's lots of different communities already. So the first thing you should do on Reddit, go type in your top category, whatever you want to sell. I'm selling plushies. For Faraz, it'd be shampoo, whatever it is, right? The interesting part is when you come into these ecosystems for the category, for the actual category that you're selling in, if you go into the largest community you can get access to without having to actually join it, you can see some really interesting things right at the top. So I always like to come in here and sort by a couple different things because I want to see all of the posts that are closest to what I want to sell, right? So I might come in here and just sort it by the top stuff. What's actually in here that people are interested in the plushie space, and what are they talking about? So go in, search for your keywords, pull down as much of this as you can, give it to Claude and say, what do you see? What are people talking about? What are they interested in? How do they feel about what's the sentiment, right? Are they intense? Are they not intense? Which emotions are coming out strongest? All those different things you can pull from Reddit threads. Okay, so last one in here, we are going to look at YouTube, TikTok, all these different things. Coffee is interesting. YouTube is one of the best places to go look for any sort of information because this is like creator land. Right? For the most part, the people that are producing content over here put a lot of time and energy into this, which means it takes a lot more restraint and careful curation of things. So let's do high caffeine coffee and we'll see what comes up since that's a part of our ecosystem here. And we'll just see what's running. What caffeine has the most, what coffee has the most high caffeine? Which brew method has the most caffeine? There is no world's strongest coffee. Ooh, look how many views that got. 1 million off of that one. That guy's actually doing a review, I think, probably of our brand. This is really interesting though, because that's a lot of views. For there is no such thing as this. He's debunking is technically the content type that he's using. That would make a fascinating ad. This I could probably just take copy paste straight into an ad and just be like, there is no world's strongest coffee. We disagree. We disagree entirely. So yeah, this one in particular, I'm just going over it to see, like, again, culturally, what's popping up the most. So filter wise, I'd probably look at this year, not like all time. Oh yeah, that's interesting. This one's for Max Energy, but that one doesn't have very many views at all on it. How much caffeine? So that's a brew method. This is interesting. This is just educational. Now this guy's big. This is a huge creator. So like, take that with a grain of salt. 5 best Death Wish coffee though. This one's about us. I'm not seeing a lot of content around this, interestingly enough. High Achiever though. Enhanced coffee. This is bulletproof though, so that's a brand. YouTube doesn't have a whole lot just from a glance here for at least high caffeine. So the way that I would probably use YouTube over here is just one to check thumbnails. I freaking love using any sort of YouTube thumbnail, copy and paste straight into ads just because I know it's going to do well over there too. So like just the style, obviously. Don't copy paste their actual. The other thing though is it's very eye-opening as to whether or not people care about this enough to go watch a pretty long video about it. How deep does this craving go for education and information?
Sarah, so with YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and also TikTok as well, the videos that do really well have really strong hooks. And if they happen to land in our category, is it possible to borrow the hook for the first 2 seconds from an organic video into our ads, or are we now in violation of some policy?
You can borrow it as long as you don't copy it word for word, because otherwise Meta's going to ding you no matter what. Just because once it starts seeing a lot of competitor ads all looking the same, it just kind of like deflates all of them into one bucket and just kind of stifles them. So the only way I would do it is if you haven't seen anybody else in your space using this particular hook yet, copy it from organic and probably just use it as is. But if everybody, this is the reason why I hated like the three reasons why, or like TikTok maybe buy it trend, because all of a sudden everybody started using it and then it wasn't viable for anybody. Right. Now it's kind of making a comeback because people aren't using it as much. But yeah.
Sarah, is that just for static ads or is that for videos? What you just mentioned.
Should you use an organic hook on a static? Statics don't get processed exactly the same way as video, obviously, because they're 2 different formats. You might be able to use it for quite a while on statics without it being stifled. Okay. Because I don't see a lot of people copying pasting statics one for one as they do with video. Be careful what you copy. That's why everything that I have all in like the community and all over the place, I'm always like, use it for inspiration. Please don't copy paste. Not because it's like the nice thing. It is nice, but like do it because Meta's going to ding you. Don't copy paste. Use it and elaborate on it.
So come up with original scripts, basically. You can take inspiration, but the wording needs to be totally different.
100%. Yep. Especially for hooks. Yeah. From YouTube, I see a lot of comparison stuff on here. Which one is the best? So I might come in here and just put like, people want to know which one is best. Overall though, now that I have all these filled in, we know people are feeling kind of like disillusioned-ish from kind of the pulse that we got on things. We know that they are somewhat actively looking for low acidity, low caffeine. We got a lot of floral stuff coming on this year, plants, nature, all these different things. People don't seem to know how much caffeine to consume, and they want to know which one is best. So overall, I mean, there's a couple different things that you could do in here. You could lay all your codes out here if you guys want to, just write them out and see which ones we're going to break, see which ones we're not going to do, those type of things. But in general, this makes an entire ad for me.
What you just saw is a conversation between myself, an 8-figure founder, a media buyer, and a creative strategist while we worked to kind of uncover some of the creative challenges that they are facing. And we do live calls like this every single week inside the Tether Lab, which is my school community. Once you join, you're going to get access to all of my trainings. You're going to get the knowledge behind 6 years and 150 plus brand consultations that I've done. And you're also going to get one-on-one support from me. So if you want to go learn more, you can go to school.com/tether-lab, or you can click the link in the description.